On this week's edition of Sunday Nation, we have a spark schedule. We have the R&B artist KEM, who is here to talk to us about his new book. And then Congresswoman Haley Stevens is also talking about the state of our student loan crisis here in the nation. And of course, then the evangelist, Dr. Faith Brooks, here to talk about the late Bishop P.A. Brooks, the first assistant presiding bishop of the Church of God in Christ. It's all coming up on this week's edition of Sunday Nation. Stay with us. Thank you so much for being here. It's good to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I want to begin with your book is coming out, A Journey of Love, Faith, and Redemption, April 4th.
Yeah.
And I realize it's kind of a coincidence, or was it deliberate? April 4th is the assassination anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, yeah. It is, you know, it's apropos. You know, I tell my kids that, you know, Daddy wasn't always able to, Daddy wouldn't be able to walk through the front of the theater.
Right.
You know, he would have to use a separate entrance to get
Right.
on stage.
Right.
You know,
Right.
the white people would be sitting on one side and the black people would be sitting on another side. You know, if we were back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, so it's fitting that the life of Dr. King and the release of this book and how it integrates itself into what I do today, it's significant.
Right. And that in itself, I think, also is, in fact, the overarching theme of your life. I mean, given your background and what you've had to overcome and where you are now, you know, some may call it, you know, you are sitting at the top of the mountain. But before we get to the mountaintop conversation, I want to begin with just your own journey here. I read the book, and, you know, I mentioned to you before we got on the air about page 71. I will come to that. But just, you know, for our viewers, talk to us about your own journey and how, you know, you've been able to come this far. You know, in the words of the African-American spiritual, we've come this far by faith.
Yeah, yeah. My faith is everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's the foundation it's the foundation of my life, of everything. And when you listen to my music, there is a deliberate, intentional thread of spirituality throughout my music. And I've had to lean on my faith through difficult times in my life, you know, and I think that that when you have those experiences, and those experiences aren't, of course, are not exclusive to me.
Right.
But when you have those experiences, there's an opportunity, there's a responsibility, there's a privilege, you know, to talk about that from wherever your platform may be, you know, to help somebody else.
Right.
You know?
Right. But how much of your background here informs what you do now? When you look at the place that you've been to where you are now.
I think that, you know, the man that you see before you right now is the culmination of all of those experiences. Yeah. So it's integral to who I am. In fact, you know, I really wouldn't go back and change anything. You know, I think that that I've had the opportunity to have some victory in my life, and through those victories, you know, it allows me to give strength and give hope and encouragement to all the people who are within my realm of influence.
You know, we're told sometimes that adversity and you know, difficulties, challenges shape people and who they are. And for a lot of people, though, they find it very difficult. So when they see you, they see KEM as an inspiration, but they don't feel like they can walk the path or any path similar to the one that you've had to do.
No, it's look, God's grace and mercy is not exclusive to me. Yeah. You know, if I can do it, if I can make it, and that's the whole point behind it.
Right.
You know, that if I can make it, then for everybody that makes it, there's a testimony, there's a witness to those who are struggling. And yes, it is difficult, and yes, life is painful, and there are ups and downs. But there's an adage I love that says, you know, pain is mandatory. Right. But suffering is optional. Right. You know what I'm saying?
That's quite a maxim.
Yeah, there is a solution to whatever you're going through.
Right.
Yeah.
So I read the book, and it comes in this way to me, two things. It reads like somewhat of a cultural therapy.
Yeah.
At the same time, an intellectual therapy.
Yeah.
It's almost, I mean, you're very open.
Yeah.
There is no stone unturned in this book.
Yeah. Yeah, we're very, very, very transparent.
Yeah.
Authentic.
Yes.
You know, and deliberately and intentional, because I believe that
You present so many facets of your life that makes up the ready-made KEM.
Absolutely. I believe that what comes from the heart speaks to the heart. You know, I've experienced great healing and great transformation in my life because somebody shared their story with me, you know, and I think that it's one of the most powerful, one of the most effective, and one of the most highest forms of love to, you know, to allow yourself to be vulnerable in that way, you know, and it's important work.
But there's a whole lot of folks in that space that you're in, the genre that you're in.
Yeah.
Vulnerability, it's a foreign word. They don't want to deal with it because there's this facade that they have to keep.
Yeah, but that's where the good is. That's what we have to let go of.
Right.
You know, is the ego. You know, the ego keeps us from getting well.
Right.
You know, and when you come to the end of your rope, when you come to the place where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, vulnerability is necessary. Vulnerability is truth. You know, and truth and honesty are necessities. You know, to getting better. Yeah.
So do you see what you have done and the many facets of your life that you've presented for our readers here? Do you see this as some sort of a road to emancipation for you? Has it been that experience, that kind of experience?
Writing the book was, and going back and taking inventory and taking stock of my life, of course, is cathartic.
Right.
You know, and I think that everyone's life is better for doing that self-excavation, that introspection, and really understanding and really trying to understand. I don't know that we ever have full understanding. The more experience I have, I look back over my past and my perception of what happened to me today may be different than it was.
Do you feel that you're still evolving though?
Oh, absolutely. I hope so. Right, I hope so.
You don't feel like you've arrived. You're at the mountaintop now, and
no, we're not at the mountaintop.
You're not there yet?
We're always looking forward and looking to become even a better version of myself.
So in writing this book, again, it's a journey of love, faith, and redemption, as you can see here on the set. In writing this book, were there times when you felt like, I don't want to share that? Or was it a question of, I'm going full throttle?
Yeah, well, I'm very comfortable being I'm very comfortable being vulnerable and telling the truth about myself.
Yeah, yeah.
The difficult, one of the challenges in the book is because there are other people in your life. There are family members, there are you know, business partners, and there are all of these. So how much of these other stories do I tell in order to tell mine? It's not my job to tell everybody else's story. Yeah. It's my job to tell my story. So there was definitely a dance there.
Huh. Interesting. So I want to talk about the musical seeds, if you will, the chapter in the book on the musical seeds. You named, you know, greats like Marvin Gaye and others. You know, we would call them arguably the founding fathers of black music here. Tell me how important it is to you to be able to look at this long lineage of black music that dates back to Marvin Gaye, Sam Cooke, A Change Is Gonna Come, and a whole lot of, you know, Ray Charles and others.
Right. You can't. You know, and right now we're in the Motor City. You know, we're in Motown, right?
Yes.
So, and I'm signed to the Motown label and have been for the past 20 years. So I feel.
So you're part of this lineage.
I feel a great responsibility to carry on in a contemporary way, in my way, the history and the legacy of all of that great music. I've been infected by great music and great artists all of my life. You know, from Sam Cooke to Marvin Gaye to Diana Ross and you know, right up to the day with Anthony Hamilton and Jill Scott. So music has been an integral part of my life, a place of healing for my life, and it is a unifier. You know, it's a unifier that spans across cultures, across generations, across ethnicities. You know, so it's a great healing for us.
Let me ask you this question then, because when we look at Marvin Gaye and Sam Cooke and others, and of course we delve into gospel, Mahalia Jackson, and all, you know, Aretha Franklin, Queen of Soul. You know, we talk about their legacies. You know, it's been transcendent. When we look at what you're doing, what do you want the generation that comes, that will read this book, you know, 2 decades from now, to say about you?
That's a great question. You know, that's a great question. I think, you know, I will leave to history to expound on what they thought about my body of work and about my life and about my contribution. My job is to show up and be as authentic and be as creative, representing what I believe to be the best in music and excellence. You know, that's my job. So I put it out there and then let the you know, I can't control what the results are.
And I also recognize that you're a hometown hero. People love you in this town. They love you. And that also makes you some sort of an envoy or an ambassador for Detroit.
Absolutely.
How does that play into what you do?
And I do consider myself to be a, you know, an unofficial ambassador of the city, and I've lived in you know, for a very brief time, lived in the city proper. You know, most of my life has been in the metropolitan Detroit area, but I always tell people that once you get 50 miles outside of Michigan, you're from Detroit. Right? And I do, because when I came on the scene, Detroit was having a hard time, right? You know, we were the brunt of jokes, you know, on
the national reviews,
you know what I mean? So it was like, there was a period of time where, like, I wouldn't do interviews, you know, with people who were bashing Detroit. You know, Detroit is blue collar. We grind real hard. Nobody hustles harder. You know, we transcend hard times. You know, and I'm grateful to be a part of that legacy.
Let's go on a quick break. We'll be right back with more here on Sunday Nation, Detroit's hometown hero, KEM. We'll be right back.